This is my review of My Hero Academia. Okay, so this episode marks the start of the provisional license exam arc, and it is an interesting one. So this episode is actually very straightforward. As the title implies, it's about the students creating their ultimate moves. That's really all it is. So yeah, it starts off with Midoriya explaining that although it got off to a rocky start, which I explained at the end of last episode, eventually the students did grow accustomed to living in dorms and are now getting used to being within proximity of the school. So they do learn how to dine together in the morning, brush their teeth in the morning with each other, and all that good stuff that you would normally do in a dorm room. So after getting ready for the day, Class 1A heads to their classroom, where they're told that they are now going to be taking part in the practical license exam, which is basically, it gives them their provisional hero licenses, which means that they're able to go out and fight bad guys without needing adult supervision. So that's basically what the provisional license exam is, and I just said practical 5 minutes ago, but whatever. But what it is that they need to prepare themselves for being able to prove what it takes to be a hero, which is primarily what the exam is supposed to prove. And it's also should be noted that only 50% of students actually pass the exam. So it's only 50% of students pass the initial exam, and I'm presuming they get a retake at some point in the future. But in preparation for this, now all of the students from the hero course now have to prepare ultimate moves, which they can use in the exam. And case in point, they are moved to a special gym that is designed to be modular in a sense when used with Cementos' quirk, which is that he can control cement, and the entire room is made of cement, so it kind of just works. With help from Cementos and Ectoplasm, each student is able to get one-on-one training. And All Might eventually comes in to see how it's going, and notices that while some of the students are doing really well, Bakugo for example, has been training himself since he was a kid to be able to do this stuff. So he has quite a few signature moves already stored up in his system that he's trying to figure out. But he also notices that some are struggling a little bit more with it, and so he decides to give them all special advice to try on his day off to try and help them develop their signature moves. And it should be noted that he kind of learned how to teach from a little guidebook that he has stored in his pocket, something Aizawa notices and calls out in his head. But yeah, he goes from student to student giving everybody advice, and eventually he gets to Midoriya and points out that he's trying too hard to copy All Might and that he should look for his own style, but doesn't give him all the answers, and now Deku has to figure it out for himself. So after a day of training, they go to the development lab, which they are encouraged to by Aizawa, to get some upgrades for their costumes to accommodate for their new signature moves. And Deku gets there first, followed shortly after by Uraraka and Ida, who have all come to get special modifications for their costumes as well. Midoriya is specifically there because he wants upgrades to his arms, so that there's bracers that will keep him from breaking his arms, because that's one of the main things that's been established. If he uses his quirk too many times in the future, he will be unable to use his arms at all. And then he'll basically be rendered quirkless from the navel up, because his primary method of attacking is with his limbs. So yeah, it's kind of a problem if his arms break. Ida's there to improve the cooldown in his legs, because he needs his cooldown to be better, because his signature move he already has, Reciprocal Burst, which we've seen a couple of times up to this point, but Reciprocal Burst does leave him out of commission for a while, and he wants to try and mitigate that as much as possible. And Uraraka, well, she gets dizzy, so she wants to try and prevent that as best as she can with a costume upgrade. Unfortunately, as they get there, the door explodes, and Mei Hatsume tumbles out and lands face first on top of Deku, and much to Deku and Uraraka's chagrin and discomfort. Because yeah, it's a very funny scene. The entire second half of this is great. Because it's mainly just Mei Hatsume being herself, which is just her nerding out way too much over her inventions and causing more harm than good, which is always perfect in any episode of My Hero Academia. But yeah, it turns out she actually works part-time in the development lab with Power Loader, although much to Power Loader's chagrin, because sometimes her inventions cause more harm than good, as I said, and it generally isn't a good thing. But yeah, Deku, Ida, and Uraraka come in and ask Power Loader to improve their costumes to help them out, and Hatsume immediately chimes in with her own inventions, which aren't exactly what they asked for, but in her weird logic, they actually are? I don't know. But when she gets to Ida, it finally clicks for Deku, since she points out that if he can't use his legs, he should instead run with his arms, which it finally clicks with Deku, and he even asks on the spot for help with some of his running techniques, because he realizes that if he's relying too much of his arms, so he needs to use his legs. And since Ida's kind of one of the better trainers at that, because he's been using his legs with his quirk this whole time, it makes a perfect sense. And then Mei Hatsume pulls out something that resembles a giant powder keg, and the three decide to leave. So yeah, the second sequence is just great, because there's just a scene of Mei Hatsume feeling up Deku to try and figure out how his muscles work, and it's great. It's really great. But yeah, thanks to that little interaction, we'll just call it, Deku actually does successfully invent a new signature move. And he shows it out a couple days later when one of Bakugo's signature moves accidentally sends a piece of debris hurtling toward All Might, and Deku is able to show off his signature move then, albeit unintentionally and completely by accident. So yeah, it should be noted that if Deku hadn't stepped in, All Might probably would have gotten hurt even worse than he already was. But thankfully, Deku had just finished developing a signature move and was able to show it off to us. His new signature move being full caling shoot style, which is essentially the technique he already had, where he used full caling to build up the 5% of his energy that he already had into his entire body. But this time he focuses it into his legs and uses his attacks that way. So yeah, it's the primary difference between him and All Might now, is that now Deku uses his legs to fight instead of his arms. So yeah, now he has a signature move where he'll do a lot more kicking than he will punching, because All Might's entire thing was that he would punch something really hard and make it go away. So now Deku kicks something very hard and makes it go away. So it's perfect. It works. It definitely works, since Deku kind of can't use his arms, so he relies on his legs a little bit more now. And also now he has the arm bracers, which are primarily incorporated into his original costume, since he kind of is reluctant to get rid of his original costume since it was made by his mother. But now it's primarily the same as his original costume, but now he has arm bracers that protect his arms and keep them from getting any more injured. But yeah, and also the rest of Class 1A develops their signature moves too. A lot of them already have their signature moves. We don't see much of them because the primary focus is on Deku, but we do see a couple of them. For example, Mina Ashido learns how to shoot acid like a fire hose, which is kind of amazing. We also see Tokoyami develop the ability to use Dark Shadow as armor, which is really cool, and it's a shame we don't see more of it. And some of them we don't actually see. We see their training, but we don't actually see them developing signature moves. And then obviously the spotlight of the entire episode is Bakugo in terms of signature moves, because he just has a whole bunch already, and it's just him further improving his library. So yeah, Bakugo might be one of the stronger characters, because he has spent the most time developing signature moves. So we'll see how it plays out for him for the license exam. So yeah. But yeah, everybody has developed signature moves now, and now they're going to be moving on to the provisional license exam next episode, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm assuming, because the next episode is called The Test, so presumably it is going to be about the license exam, but we'll see. But for right now, if you guys have seen this episode of My Hero Academia, what did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that are basically my way of saying thanks. So, help support me, and I will help support you guys in turn because I love you guys. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!